Hello, welcome. Look at my fancy gloves that Becky sent me from the UK. I found another really great use for them. I have really dry skin, and sometimes I have this homemade shea butter, oily lotion thing, that a salve that I make, and it uses several herbs, that medicinal herbs that grow wild in my pasture. And I put it on, but it stays kind of oily, and these gloves work really well to keep it on the inside of my hands and to keep my hands toasty warm so that stuff really soaks in. So they're therapeutic too, and I love them. Of course, I start videoing. Come on, Jack. And you hear his clickety-clack. Come on, Jack, get up. He likes to come out when I say hello. That's when he comes out and joins our little, he's here every time I do a video, whether you see him or not. I say hello you, and out he comes. He knows it's time that I'm spending with you, and he wants to spend time with you too. So let's look at what I did in December. I did a lot, and I've already published the first half of December, so you've seen 10 of the books I did, the pages I did. Not books, the pages I did in December. But I did 28 pages. Whoo! I'm getting so close to 30. So I have 18 more to show you. 14 of those 28 were buddies, 12 were untouched books. So almost half. That was really great. And 4 color by numbers. And that actually might be 5 now that I'm thinking about it. It's probably 5. So let's look and see what I did. In fact, let's start with those color by numbers because they were a bit of an obsession. As you saw in my first half of the coloring month, I noticed this goofy page, and I decided that I wanted to do Goofy as Jacob Marley. And it's a little messy because I didn't fix it, and I should have fixed it because acrylic, when you do with acrylic, even though it's dry, when you close the book, sometimes they stick to each other. But you know, it's just color by number. So I did him, and I really loved it. I used acrylic paint, and I showed this halfway through the month, and I showed her as well, because when I work on 2 at once, I'm more likely to get them done without damaging the paper because I have no patience. So like right in here where I damaged the paper because I was going over and over it trying to get a good coverage instead of going over it once, letting it dry, because that's what you have to do with acrylic, then going over it again. It's easier if I distract myself with the page opposite and then I actually let things dry. Otherwise, I'm just too impatient. So I did these 2 together and really enjoyed it. For the big spaces, I used acrylic paint with a brush. For the little spaces, I used acrylic paint pens. But I had noticed that there was a Mickey Mouse Bob Cratchit. So I thought, well, I'll just turn the page and I'll do those 2 and see if they're Mickey Mouse Bob Cratchit. Okay, they weren't. But I finished him. So you saw this one almost finished. This is Huey, Dewey, or Louie, hanging little baubles on a Christmas tree. I really had fun with this, although I did not enjoy all this brown. I used an acrylic paint, of course, but this brown, even though it's apple barrel, is it apple barrel? Maybe that's the problem. Let me look for it. No, let's take off your glasses, Candice. Here it is. Yep, apple barrel matte nutmeg brown. It is really, really thin. It took 4 coats. So I was kind of surprised how thin this was. Usually apple barrel is a little better than that, but this took 4 coats. I probably could have used a 5th, but I was done with it by then. And then, oops, it's this way too. Then I did Jiminy Cricket, fa la 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 la. And this one was a lot of fun. I just happened to have the perfect acrylic pen for his skin tone. I don't know. It's a Thule art. I don't tend to write down the numbers so much as make notes in the margins, but then I paint over the margins, so I don't really know going forward. I don't make notes on these guys. Although that is one of my 2025 goals. A video you are going to be seeing. It's just all my videos sort of interact with each other. Depends on what order you're watching them. But the 2025 plans video, one of the plans I'm doing now is I have a journal for what I'm writing down, what I'm using on every page, except color by numbers. It's a lot of work and I just didn't think I needed it, but now I'm kind of wondering, because if I ever want this color again, I have no idea what it was. It's one of the Tuliarts. So then I got smart and thought, well, if I keep going this way, I may not find Mickey. So let's go the other way, because I really wanted to do the Mickey page. So I found Mickey. And at the same time, I found Scrooge McDuck. So this one is a work in progress. I'm still working on, but I finished Mickey. And there he is in all his glory, Mickey Mouse. And because I don't write down colors, when I came back to it one day, I used the wrong color of peach right there. That's why I need to write down what colors I used. Anyway, this is Mickey as Bob Cratchit. This is from the cartoon Mickey's Christmas Carol. I think it was in 1993 is what I read, or was it 83? Let's look. I keep flipping to the back without warning you. 19... That's not it. There's a lot of Christmas ones in here. 1983, Mickey's Christmas Carol. So the one I'm working on right now is Scrooge McDuck. But there's a couple more I haven't done too. So I'm really enjoying these. This book, I recommend this book for folks that don't want a lot of detail or for beginners or both. Mickey, Donald & Co., they go really fast because they have big spaces. And it's not a ton. Let's look at one I haven't done. It's not a ton of colors. That's not a lot of colors for these books. And the big spaces allow for really relaxing coloring. Here's one I did before, and this was done, looks like acrylic as well. But yeah, I do them in acrylic so I don't have to see the numbers. I don't like seeing the numbers. But as soon as I finish Scrooge, I am gonna probably go to one of my others. I have this one, and then I have one other Mickey one, and then I have the first two Looney Tunes. So I might switch to one of those. I do these when I just need a break. So that's Mickey, Donald, Co. And that was 5 pages. That was 5 pages. Wow. All right, let's see. I did this one. These aren't going to be in order because I'm just grabbing them off the pile at this point. I said I was going to do this one here, the Sagittarius, for my birthday, and I did. But I did it at the very end of the month. And I did Sagittarius, this one. So here's Sagittarius. I pulled some of the same colors in Distress ink to just kind of shush up this. But this is my Sagittarius girl. I'm really proud of this one. She is done in Inktense. This is all Inktense. Every bit of it is Inktense except for the white and the shiny things hanging off her antlers. So I did this Inktense background, and it wasn't until I was halfway through that I remembered I had a small curated Inktense paint palette. I could have used paint. It was very time consuming to use pencils, but it also got the effect I wanted. So that was all right. This is black acrylic though, but all the rest of this is Inktense. There's some super golden on her hooves and on the baubles hanging off of her antlers. You can probably see they're shining. Those are super golden markers. And then the white is a white acrylic paint pen. It's I used up one, so I'm using my other new top. These are really cheap acrylics. They're great. I like them. They've got a nice sized nib, and they start easy and they last for a while. I like that white better than gel white. I started with a white gel pen, a Sakura, and I actually threw it away. I was so frustrated with it, and went to white acrylic. So this was much smoother and much easier. Her constellation is done in the white acrylic, but everything else on her is Inktense. And I really liked it. I tried things I've never done before. I've never done a sky like this out of Inktense. You know, coloring her hair in sort of this reverse coloring where I just outlined it and left it translucent, transparent. This was a lot of kind of new stuff for me. And I really liked it, and I hope you do too. It's my Sagittarius for my birthday. And that's Out of Ocean to Stars by Lydia Fenwick. I love this book. This is the cheaper version that is not the artist version. The artist version is Sea to Sky. And it has a few extra pictures in it and better paper. So, but if you see them, they're basically the same. I don't think I showed I think I did show Silent Fright to you at the first half. I did, and I talked about the Color pencils and how great they did. Yes, so this was done in the first half with my group, but I am going to show you the rest of the group's pages. So here they are. Weren't those neat? Everybody really went to town on this page. It was fantastic. We are working again. There's some of us that are continuing to work in this in the group. So if you're interested, the page we're doing this month is the Scrooge page with the Ghost of Christmas Future in the graveyard. If you want to do that with us and you're not in the group, hit me up. It's an Instagram chat group and I will get you in there. Okay, you saw this one at the beginning of the month. My candy cane, but you didn't see the rest of the groups. So the group I'm in that did this page, here's their pictures. Weren't those fantastic? This page was a lot of fun to color. This book is fun to color in, and I could see myself coloring in it even when it's not Christmas, because it's just a fun book to color in. Okay, next we have Matchstick Mouse 25 Days of Kindness coloring book. This was a gift I just received, and this gift was from Anonymous. Thank you, Anonymous. I absolutely love this book. And I did my first page in it, and it was a buddy that I did with Jen at Chromatic Dilettante. And we chose this page, which I think, isn't this the cover? Yes, it's the cover. Now, I went straight coloring. This is just alcohol markers, and it isn't even any shading. I thought about doing some shading, but you know, when I got done, it was just kind of perfect the way it was. And that's kind of what I want Matchstick Mouses to be for me, is they are my cute and cozy, easy coloring. They're just fun to just pick colors in my alcohol markers and just color with them. And I love it. And then when I'm done, I have this beautiful picture, and it's okay that it's just straight coloring. So I tend to do that a lot in these pages. Every once in a while I'll get a little trickeration going on, but this is what I did for my page. However, on the other side of the spectrum, here's Jen's. Now hers was beautiful. Look at that. She did stuff. And I always admire it when people do stuff to these pictures. They come out so well. And you know, someday maybe I will, but I loved it and I had so much fun. And Jen, I'd love to do another page out of this. Maybe we can look at February. I do love this book a lot. So thank you very much, Jen. Okay, then was To the Ocean Deep. This is an ongoing book that I'm working on. This is one of those that goes and goes and goes, like spaghetti. And so here's the first page I did, but this one was already done. I was working on the second page. Ooh, let's see if I can get it out. It's all very, very, very awkward. Okay. So here's the second page, and it starts off with me fumbling with it, me fighting with it. So we're now going underwater. So the boat is here, but now all the pieces are going underwater. So we're starting to go underwater. And we've got these little creatures that are poking their heads up and doing all kinds of fun things. We've got really fun corals and some specimens and elevators. Look at that board guy. I love these guys that are kind of loosely based on the Minions. I think this book came out before Minions, but I love them. And on this book, all I'm using is ink tints. Is there any pencil? I don't think so. I think it's just all ink tints. And I absolutely love it. There might be a few places where I've used a pencil, a polychromos, but it's mostly ink tints. And I think ink tints works really well on this paper. Now this paper is single-sided, so I could use alcohol markers if I wanted to. But once I decided the kind of color scheme, which for all this structure, I'm going to use reds and varying shades of gray for the color scheme, it went pretty fast. I mean, as fast as can be with this detailed of a page. So I'm now on the third page, which is this one. And it goes further and further and further, and it does all kinds of stuff. So we'll have to figure out how I'm going to show you that one. Paula, is it right? From Coloring Mom. She's the one who is also doing this with me. And I have a third person now as well who's just joined, who hasn't started their book yet. We're all in different places in this book. So if you want to work on this book, join us, because we share ideas and commiserations and everything, and the challenges and the fun stuff having to do with this wonderful book by Sarah Yoon. But here's what I have of Paula's. Now, she has finished her third page. So she's done her first, second, and third. And of course, they're beautiful. And really, these pages are so well drawn with such tiny details that there really isn't room enough for you to screw it up. I don't know if you understand that, but I'm not explaining it very well, but there isn't enough room in any one coloring space to like show streaks or make a mistake. Everything's so tiny that it just takes very little coloring. So it's just like putting together a puzzle, and you can always change the color because the spaces are so small. You can always go over it with something else. So they're not hard to color. It's just take a while. They're just time consuming, but it's time well spent. You get lost in it, and time would just fly by for me. So a lot of fun. So thank you, Paula. I'm really looking forward to doing my third page, and I think you're on your fourth now? Yeah. So fun book this is. We don't, finish a page a month. Well, Paula might be, but I'm not finishing a page a month. It takes me a few months to finish a page, and we're just going at our own pace. So, To the Ocean Deep by Sarah Yoon. All right, dimensions. We love dimensions. So my dimensions group this month did this. We did the whales. And it was so funny when I posted this. Because the responses were various combos of, oh, yeah, that's nice. Doesn't look like anything you normally do, though. But it's nice. It's because it's pastels. I kind of pushed the limits of my box and tried pastels. And do I like it? No, I don't like pastels. I'm a bright color gal. I mean, I can appreciate this for what it is as well. And actually my response was the same. It's like, yeah, it's nice. I mean, the shadows show up and it's cohesive, but there's nothing bright. There's nothing that stands out. There's nothing shiny. There's nothing blingy. What did I use on this one? I think I used alcohol markers, but I chose just this small range of pastels. And yeah, I mean, I think I did good with keeping it cohesive, but it's pretty boring. So that's what we did this month. We're doing the B page, which I showed you all in my coloring plans. This page for January. So if you want to join us and do this page is going to be a lot of fun. And believe me, we're not doing pastels. We, meaning the royal we, me, am not doing pastels. It will be bright and blingy. But let me show you the rest of the folks that did the whales. All right, I did my first one out of the Mythographic Artist Vault, which is such a beautiful book. Such a beautiful book. And I did a wintry one. I did, not that one, that's one. This is the one I'm doing this month with a buddy. If any of you want to do this with us, just hit me up. Be doing this one. And the one I did was this one. I really love this page. I used Inktense. Yeah, this is Inktense. And then there's some Tule Art paint pens with the white snow and some super golden marker with the gold. Everything else is Inktense. What do you think? I'm really, really loving the Inktense. It's just got so many beautiful colors. Like, look at the blue of the sky versus the blue I got of the water. Like, there's so many great colors in Inktense. I just really, really liked this page. That's my cabin. It's a log cabin, kind of like that. It looks more like this back here. It's an A-frame, like that, with the sides being logs. It doesn't go all the way down to the ground. It's like this. And it has a loft upstairs. So it's actually a lot like that. It has a deck around it. But yeah, I don't have any mountains like this that I can see. They're a little further away. I'm at the foothills, so I can't really see the mountains. But neat, huh? Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. I really liked it. When I got done, I was like, ooh, that's pretty. And I love the snow is just really thick acrylic Tule Art pen put on with a couple of layers to make it really thick. And yeah, so if you're itching to color in this and you like this page, you could certainly color with my friend and I. We're going to do this one next. This book is a lot of fun. Absolutely love it. And if you're still needing it, if you're outside the United States, let me know. I often hear about folks who have extra copies because they've bought extra copies just for someone like you. Shipping is not cheap from the United States. Let me tell you, to get to Europe, it's about $50 in shipping. But just let me know. I can connect you with somebody. Okay. That's a fun page. I might work on that tonight. Okay, now I have another page I'm really proud of. I have a Mythogoria group, and this month we did these chickadees. What do you think? The gruesome twosome. So I have a couple of tricks in here. The first obvious one being, I guess the first thing you see is the intestines. I tried to look up on Google, just using images, looking up pile of intestines. You can't find that kind of stuff. It must be filtered out. Everything I found was a drawing of intestines. It wasn't real intestines. So I kind of went off of a drawing of intestines. But then afterwards, when I talked about this, a friend of mine from the Mythogoria group privately sent me a picture. Like, I don't know what part of the dark web she was on, but she sent me a picture of a real pile of intestines that had been pulled out of someone. Okay, they don't look like this. They don't. Real intestines don't look like this. They're kind of purpley. But I think this gets the impression that at least it's guts, right? Next time I'll make them more purple, but I'm not asking where she got that picture. Crazy woman. The rest of it, so I used, you heard me, let's say it together. Inktense. No, I used Albrecht Dürer and polys on this. So with a little bit of Prisma. So this is mostly polys and Albrecht Dürer. There also is some Sioux colors because I was taking this places and I had different sets of pencils with me. So they just kind of got swapped in and out. And you can't really tell where I've used polys, where I've used Prismas. Although the birds, I think you could tell are probably polys. But, it's hard to tell. Everything else, everything that's not birds or icicles is Albrecht Dürer. So that was fun to get bust into those again. They're so beautiful. And then these icicles were white. What I did to make them see-through was I just colored straight through. In some places I had to draw. Like I had to draw these leaves, these petals in. So I kind of just extended, where before it was white, I just extended all the way through it. And then when there was nothing, I just took a black pencil. Down here it was Sioux color. Up here I think it was polys. But I just took a black pencil because I had already done the background black. This background was not black. I did the background black with, I think probably looks like alcohol ink. Yeah, I did the background black with alcohol ink. Everything's based in alcohol ink. I forgot that part. So the background's done, and there's basing all done, and then the Albrecht Dürers came on top. And then the icicles just got colored in as if you could see through them, and black where it's black. And then at the end, I took a white acrylic pen, probably one just like this, and drew lightly. I didn't want it very opaque. I was okay with the alcohol marker sort of coming through and making it gray because I didn't want it stark white. I just wanted to give the illusion of the edge of the ice. So that's, it's the same way you make a ghost with something transparent or glass with something transparent. You just extend the design through it and then color it in with the background colors. And I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, let me know. But so I made my icicles, and it's a little bit burnished, and it's also sprayed with fixative, so that's why it's shiny. The chickadees were just pencil. They were not based. And yeah, I made it as horrific as I could. Sweet little chickadees eating a pile of guts. Everybody that did this page did this phenomenal job, and everybody focused on different things and took it different directions. And it's like these really gruesome pages. I mean, this is Fabiana. The grossest ones are always Fabiana. She loves her guts. Because it's so far out there anyway, the picture is, I don't know if that just gives people the freedom to just try new stuff. But this group of folks are very adventurous. So let's look and see what they did. Amazing, huh? I'm blown away by the imagination. This month, January, some of us in the group are doing this page. So if you have Frozen Nightmares and you'd like to do this page with the skull, the skeleton with crystals and flowers holding a skull, let me know. If you're not in the Mythogoria group, I'll get you in there. And if you are, and you want to do this page, we're also doing one on a Vengeful Forest, which I showed in my plans. So that group has 2 different selections this month you can choose from or do both. All right, let's look at the next book. Okay, the next book is a brand new, amazing gift. An amazing gift from my Norwegian friend, Suzanne. She sent this all the way from Norway. This is Maria Troy's Vivi Wants a Friend. And a phenomenal book. I am hearing from people who say they are finding it, it's not so difficult to find outside of the United States. It is pretty hard to find within, though, but you can find it on Germany, I think German's Amazon, and the Dutch Amazon. You can find it in different countries' Amazons. You can find it. But nowhere in the United States, I think. And it's a big, thick, hardbound book. It's stunning. It is my favorite Maria Troy book. And the night I opened it, I did a page. So this is where Vivi's looking for a friend. And the page I did was when she was a little house by the pond. Isn't that sweet? Let me bring you out just a little bit. So I don't know what made me decide to do this. It was like I just opened it up and just started coloring. And I played with all kinds of things. It seemed like a very playful page, so I just played. There's acrylic marker in here. I messed up the butterflies pretty good, and so I was just using acrylic to cover things. They're not as sophisticated as I'd like them to look, but kind of goes with the cartoony nature of this book anyway, so I'm fine with it. That looks like Albert Durst. Let me look and see my, I need to look and see my notes. I have so many. I think I have this in my note one too. Albert Durst watercolored pencils, Stettler fine liners, polys, and acrylic pens. Okay, so I think it was the Stettler fine liners that I was struggling with in the butterflies, so I went over it in acrylic, and then that acrylic was a really thick acrylic, and they just got kind of lost. But I did use the Stettler fine liners in these flowers some in a way that I really liked it, so I am learning how to use them. And then there's some, looks like super golden marker in there. I do love the colors. This is all Albert Durst, all those colors. They are such brightly colored pencils, just absolutely beautiful. So that's my first page in here, and I love this book. And it doesn't even have Vivi in it. I don't know why I chose it, I just did. But every page in here is adorable, and I didn't do any of them. So if anybody has this book and wants to buddy, just let me know. We can pick something, probably for February at this point. But I'll color in here at any time. And Suzanne, if you have this book, I'd love to color the same page you're coloring. Just email me when you're feeling up to it. I really, I can't thank you enough for this gorgeous book. Thank you so much. Okay, so continuing on, I had a day or two break while I filmed other things and have been doing a ton of coloring. So here is another page I did for December 2024. This is out of Doodle Robot's group, Fairy Tales and Folklore. And if you're interested in coloring in this book with us, we vote on a page every other month. So you have 2 months to finish the page, which is great. And this time we did the deer in the ornament. So if you're interested in joining us, contact Doodle Robot. And here's her Instagram. And she'll join, it's in an Instagram chat group, and she'll let you in. Now this one I'm looking at my notes. I used oil pastels. Oh yes, I used those new oil pastels. I did a video on them recently for the background. Now this has been fixed, but I have to tell you, they went into the page really nicely. So I ended up using a soft cloth, a lint-free cloth, and just really pushing it in. And I got it to where it wasn't coming off on my hands at all, but I still fixed it just in case. So it has been sprayed with fixative at the very end. I don't have any workable fixative and I need to get some. So by pushing it into the page, it made it so I was able to continue working on the page because it wasn't the very last thing I did. And then, what else is on here? Polys, white acrylic paint, pens, silver super golden marker, and crystal lacquer. Okay, so the shiny stuff, all the lines is a silver super golden marker. There we go. Get some glare off of that. And then all the pencil work is polys. I love polychromos in here. I love my polychromos, period. And then these, I don't remember, I don't think there was anything in the background except, I don't remember. But it felt kind of blank to me, and I wanted to put some sparkle. And of course, I'm always experimenting. I have this lacquer pen. It's just silver lacquer. It's just like stickles, basically. And so I tried to actually make little snowflakes. They ended up being kind of just pointy blobs. I don't know if they read as snowflakes, but they are, this is a lacquer that stands up off the page. Can you see that? So it's like, I could probably pick it off if I tried. So it's raised up off of the page, and I kind of really like feeling it. It's bumpy. I don't know why I like that, but because usually I like very smooth pages, but that bumpiness is kind of fun. So I just did that. I don't know if it adds anything to the page other than a feeling it, but I do like it as dots. I did it as dots throughout, and I think that's much more effective than these weird blobs. But I enjoyed this. I think I'm coming out of winter and I really wanted something bright. I've noticed I'm using a lot of bright reds and yellows. So that was my page. So if you want to see all the other pages, that group we post with a hashtag. I believe there's a hashtag, so you should. I think the hashtag was recently created or not. I can't remember. But if you should be seeing these pop up all over Insta. And if you want to join us again, hit up Doodle Robot. And so our next page in this has already been announced, so you have 2 weeks to work on it, and then 2 weeks, 2 months, and then we'll show that in February. So, Fairy Tales and Folklore by Emily Littlehall Oberg. Ooh, that was loud. Sorry, guys. Then, out of this brand new book, I did my very first page. This is Chibi Tarot by Yam Puff, and it's my first and only Yam Puff book. And I've always liked Yam Puff's artwork. This is a very tall book. And this one was a gift from my very good friend Rach at Jelly Starburst. Jelly Starburst, not Jelly Stardust. Although I like Jelly Stardust as a name. That's pretty cool too. And I did the High Priestess. This is a very long page. So I did the High Priestess. This was fun. This is Amazon paper, but I don't care. It doesn't bother me at all. Especially when I use the mediums that work for it. So let me grab the information for Yam Puff. Okay, I used alcohol markers a lot on the ground. And then there is a lot of white acrylic paint pen. I just felt like pinks and whites. So she's basically all pink, but then there's all this white acrylic paint pen going over the lines really thickly too to make her hair texture. And then there's a lot of silver. I think that's super golden marker again. Yes, that's a silver super golden marker. And what I did here was I did white over the lines and silver super golden dots. And that's the first time I've ever done that. And I really like that. I wanted her just ethereal and shiny. I love her skin on this one. And again, I think that's all that's in here. Yeah. It says it has Arteza gouache. Oh. Yeah, I think I had This is yeah, she's gouache. And I think it's because I was using that pink on another page and I had some extra pink. And so I just brought it over and said, hey, I'll just play with the pink on this and see if it works. And it does. Like I say, this is Amazon paper, and it looks like the wings are alcohol marker, but this is gouache possibly, and this is gouache. But and this feels like gouache around here. It works fine. I wouldn't use watercolor, or if you did, just be really careful. It will really crinkle the paper, but gouache, you don't need as much water as you do with watercolor. So gouache is pretty thick and opaque and not as much water. So it'll work. Acrylic would also work. Because there is acrylic marker on here. And that's all there is on this page. This was an untouched book. So this was my first page in this book. Thank you, Rach. I love this book. This is a really fun book. And I look forward to doing more. If you guys haven't seen it, it's just really fantastic. It's the major arcana of the Tarot. Oh, isn't that beautiful? And Yam Puff's style is just, it's chibi and anime and really fun. Just really fun. But I thought she was such a good, and she's holding the parchment. They're always holding kind of a rolled up parchment because they're a keeper of knowledge. The high priestess is, and she can transmit that knowledge to you. And she's usually associated with the moon. It's beautiful, huh? So that's Chibi Tarot, Yam Puff. All right. What else did I do? Norse gods. So this was a gift from my friend Suzanne in Norway. So this came all the way from Norway. And my friend Suzanne sent this to me. And I did a flip through when I opened up her packages. And it's that sketchy style of this artist. And it's all Norse gods. And I couldn't wait to get into it. So I did. And let me tell you, I'll warn you ahead of time, this is very experimental. This paper is good. Good paper, very smooth. And I figured I can just experiment with it. It's single-sided. So I did this. Can you see it? This is very different from what I usually do, but I feel like I can really experiment. All this background is oil pastels. It's those Art Deco oil pastels that I reviewed on the channel that I had gotten and really liked. So I just kind of rub them in this greens and blues, and then this shiny stuff is another medium I have not used in a coloring book yet. In fact, I may not have used it at all, but it's Ranger's Perfect Pearls. Don't you know, I just finally got organized and put them away. But they're a powder that's in a little plastic acrylic cup. They're a powder, and they are super fine, super fine, glittery powder, and they get everywhere. It's so messy, and I have yet to figure out how to use it. I think people tend to mix a little bit with a little bit of water and then paint it on. But what I did was I just sort of tapped it on and then rubbed it in with, I think it was a cloth or a blending stick. I rubbed it in just to try to give some gold shimmer to spots and make it kind of, background kind of gold shimmer and messy. I do like it in this treatment, and I did it all over. This was definitely a mixed media page, which I'm not very skilled or experienced at. But I wanted to try, and so I thought this beautiful gift book would be really fun to experiment with. And then the gold splatters. Was that my gold paint? Yeah, the Kuretake Ganzai Tambi gold. The Starry Nights kit that has all the golds in it. And that's, I just splattered, which is another thing I don't do very often. And then he, I think, is still the oil pastels, right? Yeah. These oil pastels, all of this was done in oil pastels and then rubbed in with blending sticks. And then it says there's a little bit of prismas on there. So I probably just darkened stuff and increased dimension and gave it some more details with prismas. I do remember that all this is just, I think only the prismas are in here. I think everything else is the oil pastels. So this is really different for me. I kind of like it. I don't know. What do you guys think? It's very dark. This is the giant Gerard has captured Loki, who had transformed himself into a hawk, and Loki wouldn't talk and admit he was Loki, but Jared knew he was Loki. So Jared shut it in cave and shut Loki in this cage and let him starve for 3 months. And then he finally couldn't bear it any longer and told him that he was Loki. Loki always gets caught in the end, doesn't he? So yeah, let me know what you think about this. It's very different. I sent it to Suzanne, and of course, you know, she liked it, but she's very nice. She wouldn't say she didn't. So what is your honest opinion? I'm trying to keep the glare off of it because it is super shiny. Plus, I have sprayed it twice with fixative because it's all oil pastels. And I wanted to make sure that they didn't move. So that makes it shiny as well. I think this book's amazing. I have heard from a few of you that you have this book. So if you have this book and want to do a page in it, let me know. I plan on doing another page soon. And I feel like it just screams for oil pastels and sort of a messy, like, you know, it kind of matches his sort of sketchy, messy style that he's got going. And there's all of this backgrounds. So I just want to do mixed media in this book. It screams for it. And although I don't really know what I'm doing, I'm just sort of following my intuition and putting layers down and really enjoying it. This book is fantastic, and it's great paper. It's got an actual publisher. So here's the ISBN if you can get it. Just take a screenshot of that and then blow it up. You can see it. And you can put it in any sort of internet search engine like Google search or something, and it'll bring up wherever you can find this book. Love this book. Okay. Hide and seek. What did I do at hide and seek? Whew. This is Saturday. I have Saturdays off, but for some reason, and I slept all day, but for some reason, I'm still yawning. Let me get myself organized. I'll be right back. I already showed you hide and seek. What I haven't shown you is Escape to Shakespeare's World. Now, this was in a small group of us. Who all was in that group? We all finished it, too. It was really, really fun. It was Shelley with Weaver Shelley and Brittany with Coloring Through It. And we finished our dragon. We did the dragon in here. That's what I did before. I still love this double page. This was just all done with pens. Here, the dragon. For some reason, why am I saying for some reason? For obvious reasons, this took us a very long time, the entire month. This is so detailed. There's so many flowers. But I did mine, honestly, I actually, towards the end, started painting over things. This is a lot of acrylic paint. I mean gouache. There's gouache, a lot of gouache in here, and acrylic. There's also Thule art paint pens in here and super golden markers. So I did a lot of sort of acrylic and gouache. And I started getting bored of it, so I covered some of the back. There was a lot more dangly bits, and I covered it all and just made it look like a darker green background with dangly bits. And then I kind of did the same down in here because I was doing these flowers, and there's just so many. Oh my God, there's so many flowers. But I had a lot of the super golden marker in here, which I really liked. This was Christmas time. So I wanted to make it, you know, Christmassy looking, and I really kept the palette minimal to different shades of reds and green and gold. So very classic Christmas colors. I tried to make his tail kind of ombre. That was done with gouache. I mean, I don't think there's any pencil in here, is there? Don't think so. It's just all gouache and paint pens. Yeah. So I actually love how it looks, how it came out. I think this is a couple of tries. Like I say, acrylic covers everything. And I had him a different color palette at first. And I had a few things, and it was chaotic. It was hard. Your eyes didn't know where to go. So then I started going over it and simplifying it and bringing it back to where the only bright parts was his head and his tail, and everything else was darker. And your eye, I think, kind of knows where to go now, and then enjoys the sparkle on top of it. And the red just sort of all becomes just blended in. So, because these flowers were a lot. I at first thought I was going to do the flowers in different colors, but it was taking away from the dragon. So I had to just stop. This was an example of a page that I had to just stop and back up and say, okay, what is the focus here? The focus is not the flowers. The focus, the central image, is the dragon. So the flowers are just the framing. So that's when I went back in with red acrylics and just started taking out lines and making the flowers a real true frame around the dragon. So I really like it. Now I think I was the last one done, because my buddies, they took a long time too. We all took a long time, but they were turning theirs in, and I was like, oh my God, these are beautiful. So I'm really good. I took that moment to pause and was open to change, to look at it and say, okay, what if I didn't follow this color path that I'm going on right now? What if this was blank? What would I prefer it to look like? And got that in my head and then did it. Because again, like I say, acrylic and gouache can cover anything. So it looks like I intended to do this. Nope, this was my second or third color palette try with this page. But again, I really loved it. This is Escape to Shakespeare's World with Good Wives and Warriors. And I just think this is, of these mini books, this one's my favorite one, which is a surprise to me. I would not have thought this was my favorite one, but just all the pages are very interesting to color, and I'm always up for coloring a page in this book. So let's look and see what my buddies did. Gorgeous, aren't they? I just can't believe the skill of these ladies. It's just, their pages were so inspirational to me. Here is a book that a couple ladies put together, and there's a little small group of us that are working out of this pretty much every month if we feel like it. We can branch out to other ones of her books. But this is Karolina Kubikowska, and so we just focus on her books. And right now we're working out a Circle of Nature. It's Veronica, Dana, Sarah, and Shelley that are in this group with me, and I'll show you all their pages. And this month we did the deer. This is January's page, which I haven't done yet. Most of the group has finished theirs already, though, and they're beautiful. So if you want to do this page with us for this month, just get hold of me or any of these ladies, and they can let you into the group, and we can, you can see what they've been doing is fantastic. Here's my deer. So I have been going ham in this book with monochromatic images. I did the last month I did this one, which I really love. It was different. What I've been doing is I wanted to get to know that giant Hemi gouache set I had, so I took all the different yellows and I did this page so that I could learn what those yellows were. It was just a study in all of the yellows. And I had so much fun that I decided to do all the reds on this page. So I took all the reds out of there and played with them and got to know the reds in that group. And I'm considering doing the same for the owl and doing all the blues, because this is really helping me get to know that set. It's also challenging me to do a monocolor scheme, a monochromatic page that is still interesting. It's a really fun exercise to do. It wasn't my first intention. My first intention was red nose, because I was going to make him look like Rudolph. I thought that would be funny to make a deer look like Rudolph. But then I just wasn't inspired to do him in normal colors as a deer. And I kept putting it off and putting it off, because I'd done a lot of deer, it felt like, and it felt like I was kind of bored with deer. And I thought, well, what if his antlers matched his nose? So I did his antlers, and I think I did his antlers in an actual Prisma pencil, I think. oil pastels and gouache, it says I used on this, and that's true. So that might be oil pastel, a bright red, because I know that's brighter than the reds I have in gouache, and it doesn't look like gouache. I think that's an oil pastel. Anywho, and then once I had the antler and the nose done, I'm like, I'm just going to do the whole dang thing red. I'm going to have some fun. So I did. I got the reds out of my gouache, on my Hemi gouache, and I played with the different reds in the background. That was fun, trying to decide, do I want to make the leaves all one color? Do I want to highlight some leaves and not others? Do I want to, what do I want to do? Do I want to make them look like darker, medium, light, so they're receding? I kind of didn't do that. I kind of just went by the color. And the ones that I made a lighter color, I then at the end decided I wanted to, it was sort of blah in the background, so I added the super golden marker just around those leaves, just to add a little bit of bling. And then I did it around his antlers too. And then I went to his eyes and his nose. Yeah, I just love the super golden markers. But I was down to the deer. The deer was what was left. And I didn't know what to do with the deer. So this is where, yeah, I think all this was gouache. And this was where I went in with the oil pastels. And this is in my video, my oil pastel video, where it shows me doing it. I just rubbed it in. I just drew it on and rubbed it in. And it went on so fast. And I had already painted these darker places, these shadows, with kind of a burgundy red gouache. So that was already painted. And at first I tried to like go around all of it with the oil pastel, and I was like, that's for the bird. So I just went over everything like this and then blended it in. And what I found out was the gouache sort of resisted the pastel, and the pastel kind of wiped off of the gouache and it left it there. So you don't have to be careful. The oil pastel stuck to the page, but where there was gouache on the page, it just kind of slid away. And so I didn't have to be careful. I could just go scribble, 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 rub, 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 and it was beautiful. It ended up making it look very soft and velvety, like fur, like you could pet it and it would be soft. And I fell in love with it. It was so easy. The deer was done in like 5 minutes. It was so easy, and the page was done. And that's when I just did a little bit of extra. That's when I went around with the gold and done. So I am sold on oil pastels, and I do love that set. It's a budget brand set, and compared to what some cost, and I love it. The highly expensive ones are really, really oily, because that's the whole purpose, and I just don't like it. I don't like things on my fingers, and I don't even want to touch them. So I kind of like the less oilier budget brands, and the Art Deco I found is really great. So I think Mungio, and especially the Mungio Galleria and the Art Deco, are some of the best budget brand oil pastels. So yeah, that was super fun. So now I'm kind of inspired to do this one in monotone. So this book is becoming an experiment for me. This was the first page I ever did, but all the subsequent pages have been experiments in color and technique. I think there's another one in here, because we've been doing this for a while. Yeah, it's been an experiment. This was an experiment with Gonzai Tombi granulating paints, and just using different techniques and different mediums. This paper can handle it, and these illustrations are so quirky, and with the dark, the dark grayscale in there, you can play with different styles of coloring and still have it come out okay. I mean, you can use every yellow in your paint box, and it works because she's already got the shading in there for you. So that was my page this month. So yeah, let me know, or anyone in the group. And here, speaking of the group, let's look at their pages. Okay, we have 2 more pages to look at. Now this is one that I love. This is one of my very, very favorite books. And if you hear like a gnawing sound in the background, Jack's laying down chewing on one of his chewies. He loves his chewies so much. Can you hear that? So I do this with Kathy from True Not Cat, and we pick 3 images at a time, and when we're done with those 3, we pick another 3. So this was the last of the first 3, and this was Kendatsuba. And I love how this turned out. Again, I experimented with those Arteco oil pastels, and just look how smooth and creamy they go on. I had so much fun making this gradient. It was a blast and super easy. Then I also used some oil pastels for a lot of him as well, and then went over it with acrylics to give some definition. Is there anything else I used? It says I used some prismas here and there, maybe, and looks like I have a super golden marker on his pitchfork there. Oh yeah, prismas were in his helmet, which that was an experimentation. I'm still experimenting with finding a good prisma combination for gold. I have a good poly combination that I love, but I think I finally did settle on some prismas that I like. This was close, but I just think he turned out well. I'm calling him my drag queen yokai because this particular yokai likes sweets and perfume and fancy clothes, and he's a musician and messenger of the god. They're patron spirits of medicine, and they protect children. So they can become fearsome warriors if provoked, but most of the time they like the glitter, and they like to dance and sing and sweets perfumes. So I made them all super pretty. And then we have 3 more chosen for the next 3 months or so. So if you want to color in this with us, we are doing one of these a month. There aren't many books I am doing something a month. I don't want to ever get burnt out on a book. So I'll take months off, or I'll switch to a new book or whatever. Or I'll do a category of books like Mythographic or Mythogoria, but not just one book every month. But this one I do. These pages are quick and easy. This is one of the ones, it was my turn to choose for the next 3, and that's one of the ones I chose. And we do them in any order. This one and this one is the other one I chose. I think I'm going to do this one next. But yeah, we're pretty loosey-goosey, and we just do what we feel. We just pick 3 at a time, and we work on them at our own pace. So this is such a wonderful book that I want to do every page in here. So we're having a good time, and they are fast colorings. Okay, my very last page I am really proud of, and this was in a Mythographic group. We did this page, and this is a different palette than I'm used to as well. So this was in Wild Winter by Joseph Kattenbang, and excuse me, and I hummed and hawed about this for quite a bit. I wasn't sure what to do with it. And then I saw Winter 89 Colors use this palette in a different book. She used it in her Goblin Core book for the rat page, and I loved it. So basically what I did was, it's the first time ever I've done this, is I watched her color along, and as she switched colors, and I did my own page, which is a totally different page, and I was coloring along and using her techniques. I'm not near as good as she is. These are with Albrecht Dürer, and I'm not near as good as she is with her Albrecht Dürer, but I tried. I like the way she got more of a gradient in her rats than I got in the mice, but this is better than I've ever done before, so getting better. And then as she switched colors, I wrote them down. And so these are all the exact same Albrecht Dürer she used, because I just love the palette. And then I added the silver. And the silver, I think, is, I didn't write it down, but I'm sure it's super golden markers. And to just add a little bit of bling. And here is white acrylic paint pen or paint. And then on top of it, I put some dragonfly glaze. You have to be careful because it can reactivate the acrylic underneath, but I just wanted to make it sparkly. And I love it. I would have never put these colors together. It's kind of a light peachy pink in like a brownish reddish color, and then these golds and greens. I would not have put this together, but I think it turned out perfect. I really did. And once, you know, having someone else pick the color palette made it so much easier. Then I just plunked the colors down where I thought they should go. But I really enjoyed that, and I'm going to use her techniques again in other pages. And I'd love to use this color palette again because I just thought it turned out so nice. So that was one of my winter pages for December 2024. And let me show you what everyone else did. So those were my pages for December 2024 for the last half. I do split my completed pages videos into 2 now. So pretty soon you will be seeing the first half of January, and you're also going to be seeing my goals for 2025 and a new hashtag I'm putting out. So I will see you soon. I hope that you are staying safe and you feel well and loved, because you are. I love you. All right. Bye-bye.